Okay, sir. Right. So yesterday we were speaking about containerization, and then we have spoken about some instructions. The instructions which we have spoken about were from we have spoken about label, we have spoken about expose, we have spoken about run, and we have spoken about CMD. Today, let us try to understand CMD and one more thing which is called as entry point. Okay, so I'll still go with the rule. Whenever I'm trying to write CMD or entry point, I'll be using exec form, and when I'm trying to write run, I'll be going with a shell form. Why I have not spoken, I'll speak about it, because let us try to understand all of these formalities and then we'll go to that stuff. Okay, now as usual, for exploring this, you really don't need, you can try all of this, because we are not really trying to build an image understanding these concepts. I'll be trying to use a Docker playground. When we actually build something, then I'll try to go with my own my own machine with decent horsepower, and then creating different containers in various languages. Is that fine, sir? Yeah. For some of you, if Docker playground is not accessible from your system, you can use the browser also. There is nothing, no difference. All you need to do is, okay, if it is working from anywhere, it's fine. I generally, since I have to project it on the screen, right, I need the zoom factors and all of that stuff. And that zoom doesn't work out on the screen. Okay. So at a max, what you can do is you can go with the editor, or even in that is not given over here. So in some other playgrounds, you'll have font. Here also, I think you have. Yeah. I can increase the font over here, but that, for me, that looks ugly. That's the reason I use this. And for this to be connected, you should have SSH key. So that means that you should have generated SSH keygen, and you should have ID underscore RSA and ID underscore RSA dot pub. That's it. Okay. Fine, sir. Okay. Fine, sir. So first, let us try to understand what is the CMD or entry point. When a Docker container starts, it executes, okay, whatever is present in entry point, whatever is present in entry point, and whatever has been written in CMD will be arguments to entry. So shall we try this? Yeah. Okay. So quickly, I'll try to make the experiments cd experiments, and let me try to quickly write vi Docker file. I'm not sharing these Docker files because I'm quite sure you can try to write it up. Yeah. Okay. So from Alpine colon 3.19. Alpine is the slimmest version of Linux. So that's the reason I'm trying to take this. You can take any other thing to start with. You can there are some Ubuntu flavored images also, Debian flavored images also. I try to use Alpine. Okay. And then over here, I'm trying to write entry point. And I said that in entry point and in CMD, I'll be using exec form. So over here, I try to write a word called as echo. Am I clear on this, sir? And then I try to write something in CMD which is called as hello world. Any problem with this? So what is this statement trying to tell? Whatever you have written in entry point is what gets executed, and whatever you have written in CMD will become arguments to entry point. So now what I'm trying to tell is, if you want to write ping google.com, this is what your application should do while it is starting. So ping goes into entry point and google.com goes into CMD, because this is the command and this is the argument. Am I clear on this, sir? Yeah. Okay. Now let me try to build the image. Docker image build -t. Let me try to call it as start :1. I am not audible. Yesterday also I had the same issue. Guys on the web, am I audible, sir? Okay. Now let me run this command or run this container, and I'll run it in a attached mode or a foreground mode, because I want to see what is happening. Docker run -name, and let me try to call it as trail1. This is my trail1, and then here what was the image? Start :1. So this is the image which I want to run. There is nothing that is running inside it, but let us see what happens. What it did? It prints something called as hello world. Am I clear on this? So does this statement fit? Yeah, right. Fine then. Now CMD can be overwritten by passing arguments after image name and docker run command. Okay, so what do I mean by this? I try to run the same thing, but over here I try to write my docker. So what is it I passed? After the image name, I passed something called as my docker. So this will go and overwrite whatever you have written in CMD. So in CMD, what is it I have written? Hello world. Okay, now let us see what it prints. Oh, I can't use the same name called as trail1, because trail1 was used already, right? Is it making sense? Okay, అంటే మీరు దీని తర్వాత ఏం ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్స్ ఇవ్వకపోతే సిఎండిలో ఏది ఉంటే అదే రన్ అవుతుంది. ఇమేజ్ నేమ్ తర్వాత ఏం పాస్ చేసినా అది వెళ్ళి సిఎండిని ఓవర్ రైట్ చేస్తుంది. राइट? सो आर वी क्लियर ऑन दिस? इमेज नेम के बाद आप जो भी पास करते हो वो जाके सीएमडी को रिप्लेस करेगा. ओके, यहां मैंने इमेज के बाद कुछ भी नहीं दिया, तो अगर आप डॉकर फाइल देखोगे तो डॉकर फाइल में क्या था? हेलो वर्ल्ड था, इसीलिए यहां हेलो वर्ल्ड प्रिंट हो रहा है. और यहां मैंने क्या पास किया? माई डॉकर, and this my docker has gone and overwritten hello world. So over here what was printing? My. Okay, so are we clear on this? What is the difference between entry point and CMD? What is the difference between add and copy? Are very, very commonly asked interview questions. Okay, in Docker, you would, this is always they would, I don't know the reason, but this is the same question which they have been asking for the last 8 years. Almost in every Docker interview, they would try to ask about it. Okay, fine, sir. Am I clear now, sir? Okay. If entry point is present, but CMD is not present in Docker file, do we have any problem with that? Okay, so then whatever is written in entry point will be executed. Okay, right. If entry point is not found and only CMD exists, then CMD will be executed. So these are the three simple conditions. Okay, entry point to CMD రెండు ఉంటే entry point లో ఉన్నది executable, CMD లో ఉన్నది argument. Entry point or CMD अगर दोनों है, so whatever is present in entry point is an executable, and whatever you are passing in CMD is argument. If you have entry point only, no CMD, so then whatever you have written in entry point will be starting your application. Then if you don't have entry point and you have written only CMD, then it will try to start with C. Okay, right. So the what entry point and CMD depends on whether you have entry point or CMD. So in this case, okay, this is the command and this is executable. But now let me try to change this. Okay, I have not written this. In this case, I want to run whatever is written in entry point itself. So I'll try to write echo hello. So this doesn't have CMD, so whatever I've written in the entry point will be executed. Make sense? Yeah, right. So let us try to build this image. Let me try to call it as start colon. And now let me try to call, I should call probably trail 3 and start 2. Whether you pass anything after image, it doesn't matter now because there is no CMD. So me rajna raayipone by the difference em undadu. So let me try to show you. Did you print hello? Yeah. Now let me make it trail 4, and over here let me try to write whatever nonsense which I want to do, but it would not make any difference. Okay. Oh, it has considered it as CMD. Okay, fine. There is a reason for that. I'll try to speak about why it is happening. Okay, fine, sir. Are we clear on this? Yeah. So whatever you have written in entry point matters. But now let me have a third version of my Docker file where I'll not have this. I'll just have CMD. Okay, sir. Okay. So let me try to run trail 5, and I'll not pass anything. So it prints hello. Now over here I'll try to type and then say ping -c for google.com. Okay. Trail 6. I shouldn't have given names. Yeah. Okay. Whatever it is it trying to ping Google or not? Yes. So because here there is no entry point, only CMD. Whatever I have written will override the complete CMD. So what was the complete CMD over here? Yeah. So I am replacing echo hello with what? Ping -c for google.com. Am I clear on this, sir? Okay. Now it doesn't mean that entry point cannot be overwritten. But for overwriting entry point, what you need to do is, let me go with start 2, right? And for some time, let me try to remove names. So in this case, if you remember, we had an entry point and there was no CMD. Okay. So I'll try to write -, entry point. Okay. And then over here, I can try to tell that echo hello world. Okay. Entry point మార్చలేము అన్నది కాదు, డైరెక్ట్ గా మార్చలేము, ఇలా అడిషనల్ గా పాస్ మార్చే. Okay. What has happened now? Okay, fine. Whatever it is, it couldn't find echo. But was it trying to run echo hello world or not? Okay, right. So these are the combinations. Okay, there is one more thing which you need to understand. If we do not write entry point or CMD, the base images entry point or CMD will be considered. If you remember in Nginx image, while I was building that image, I have not written CMD, but still Nginx was starting. Why? Because I didn't want it to start Nginx. Base image already knows how to start. Am I clear on this, sir? So what are the conditions now? We have CMD and we have entry point. CMD can be easily overwritten while you are running Docker commands. Entry point also can be overwritten, but you need to pass an extra argument. When you are writing only entry point and only CMD, there is no confusion. The point is when you have both entry point and CMD. In that case, whatever you have written in entry point is an executable, and whatever you have written in CMD is arguments. If you don't write CMD or entry point, whatever was a base images entry point or CMD, it will be started. Are we clear so far? Yeah. Okay. Now let me try to change this Docker file. Let me remove this and let me try to basically make it from Nginx latest. Did I write any CMD or entry point? No. Now let me try to build the image and let me try to call it as start 4. Okay, sir. Now let me try to run Docker run start 4. Ideally, nothing should happen. But what is it I have said? If you have not written CMD or entry point, the base images CMD or entry point will be considered. Is something happening? So this something is not because you have written something. This something is because base image has. Are we clear on all the conditions? Yeah. Okay. Right, sir. Now the major point of all of this discussion. Okay. Your container will be in running state as long as PID 1. What is PID 1? Whatever we have written in entry point plus CMD combination is running. Okay. So shall we play with this? So before we play with this, I want to remove all the containers, running containers, all the containers and all the images so far. So Docker rm -f $. And in the same way, I want to remove images. So you can write Docker image rm or Docker rmi. Okay. Did you by heart all the commands? What is it you're doing then? Yeah. Either use a cheat sheet or use --- help. Because if you start by hearting commands, very soon we are going to start Kubernetes. There you will have hell lot more. But don't even try doing that. Just get used to this cheat sheet world. Yeah. Okay. Fine, sir. It's the state where you have written your container will be in running state. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Okay. Now let me try to write a very simple Docker file. Vi Docker file. I don't want Nginx. Let me go with simple Alpine. Okay. Right. And now here, let me try to write CMD, and in CMD, I'll try to write sleep and 30s. What is it? So let me tell you what sleep 30 is that. So let me try to put sleep 3 seconds. So for 3 seconds, this command will be running. After that, it will be exited. So sleep means you are stopping the execution for a particular period of time. So what is my Docker files contents now? Yeah. So how much time will this container run? This container will be in running state for 30 seconds, and after that it will be exited. Why? Because sleep 1s runs for 1 second. After that, the process is finished. Once your process is finished, your container also goes into exited state. Now let us assume that in the start I have put echo hello. What will echo hello do? Will print and will come out. So that means that this container will print hello and immediately will go into the exited state. Now if I try to do ping google.com, in the world of Linux, ping command will run continuously until unless you go and do Control-C. Okay. So if I put this in the startup, then my container will be living for as long as this command is running. Okay. So should I put ping for all the applications? No, you should never do that. You should actually start your application. Okay. For example, I am running Node.js application. So PID1 should be start Node.js and continue. Your command should be running as long as your application is running. So for example, java-jar spring.clinic.jar. This command runs as long as that application is running. If you go and explicitly do Control-C, then the application stops. So never ever have anything in CMD. It should be your application start. Okay, fine then. So Docker image build -t test :1 and dot. Okay, let me try to run it in the backend mode, sir. Docker run test :1 antena. Let me try to run -d -d and -. I've run 3 containers. Let us try to see the status. So what is it trying to tell? Status is as of now, this is the status. Again, as of now, still. Okay. Fine. Still running. Good. Right. 30. Wonderful. Now what has happened? 3 has become 2 containers. Why? First container, the command has finished execution. Now you do nothing, it will be running. You do ps-a, then your containers will be showing in exited. So do you understand this, sir? Yeah. So how much, what is the life of your container now? It depends on how much time, whatever you have written in entry point or CMD runs. So many people come with a complaint saying, sir, I have written Docker file, but my application is not running and my container goes into exited state. So then where is that you have messed up? Yeah. So when your CMD and entry point is messed up, your containers do not run. They will basically be going into the exited status. Okay. Fine, sir. Are we clear on this? Yes. Okay. Now what can go in CMD or entry point? Okay. Anything can go in CMD and entry point. Okay. Ideally, anything can go in CMD or entry point. Okay. But in practice, we execute the commands that start our application and wait till the application is executing. This is what will go in CM. Okay. So even though there are CMD and entry points, most of the times you would see people using only CMD. Okay, because it doesn't matter. Ideally, we are not going to run Docker containers by these commands. We are going to run it from Kubernetes. Okay. So, but what we should ensure is when your application is basically getting started, whatever its job is, whatever you put in the CMD or entry point, it should be basically running as long as your application is running. For every technology, there is one startup command. That is exactly what you have to run. So, let me try to write typical startup commands. Okay. So, in the world of Java, okay. So, if I am trying to use Spring Boot kind of technology, so then it would be something like java-jar and whatever your jar files path is. Okay. And then there are some traditional applications which run on app servers. So, for example, my application runs on Tomcat. My application runs on Glassfish, WebLogic. So, in that case, you don't need to start the application. You need to start the server. Okay. So, if your app runs on some external server, let it be anything. Okay. So, then take the base image of the app server and don't write CMD or entry point. Why? If I don't write, what would happen? It takes the base images stuff. Base image already knows how to start the server. You don't write it. So, for example, I am writing my own Postgres application. I want to make some changes. I'll try to take from Postgres, make all my changes in the run, but I am not touching CMD or entry point because Postgres base image already knows how to start the database. I want to run a website. I'll try to take Nginx or HTTPD. Nginx or HTTPD base image already knows how to start. All you will try to do is you will try to copy your website and leave it. Don't write CMD or entry point. Are we clear on this, sir? Yeah. Now, let us assume that I am trying to speak about, let me try to write React.js or AngularJS or Vue.js. Here we have two options. The first one is run npm run start. Okay, but or equivalent. Okay, because some of the people don't use npm, they use something called as yarn. ఏదైనా మనకు ఒకటే స్టార్ట్ చేయడానికి ఏ కమాండ్. But this is not a good idea when you're running your websites, because what is React.js, AngularJS and Vue.js, at the end of the day it is a website. Yes or no? So best option is, okay, create a HTML site and run in Nginx. This reduces your images size to a lot. Whenever you are running web stores, AngularJS, develop చేసేటప్పుడు మీ ఇష్టం వచ్చినట్టు రన్ చేసుకోండి during development mode. But in production, try to create a website. To create a website, ask developer what is the command. He will try to tell that you need to execute a command which is called as npm run build. When you do that, you get one folder. In that folder, you will have plain HTML, CSS. If you remember, when we build that website, the website build chesam mano crypto website. Yeah. So what is that we have done? We have taken the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and copied into user share Nginx folder. Right. React also at the end of the day same story is same. But during development, developers prefer this because they want to see what is happening. In the production, you and me will be going to do this. Okay. Fine. Now let me try to speak about .NET. And when I'm saying .NET, I'm referring to ASP.NET Core. Okay. So over here, the story is simple. Command would be something like .NET and DLL path. Okay, you need to pass some extra arguments. Let us not worry about all of that. So when I'm trying to speak about Python application, okay, so if it is Flask, Django, okay, So here what would happen is there are two ways of running Python applications. One is Python applications, basically like Flask, Django, and all of that stuff. They will internally have a server like Spring Boot. Okay, so you can run something like Python may app.py or main.py or whatever it is, or you will have something like WSGI or UVcorn. You will have these kind of servers and a app server landing. So you will have server based startup. So for the people who have learned Fast API in our previous classes, who have not learned, that's okay. If you remember to run that application, what is that we used to execute? UVcorn, main colon app, hyphen reload. Yeah, that goes into your CMD. Ante. Okay. So in the case of Fast API, and whatever I'm trying to write for Fast API, Flask, your machine learning models also will be doing the same thing, because machine learning model at the end of the day will be executed either on Fast API or on Flask. Okay, so here you would have something like UVcorn main colon app hyphen host, okay, 0.0.0.0, whatever it is after this. So all of this should go into the combination of CMD and entry point, and I will be using CMD only. I will not be writing entry points at this moment. Are we clear on this? Now, what will you do if your application is developed in Go language, Ruby on Rails? అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తారు? పోనీ మనం ఈ కోర్స్ అంతా నేర్చుకుని నెక్స్ట్ సంవత్సరం కొత్త లాంగ్వేజ్ వచ్చింది, అప్పుడు ఏం చేద్దాం? Just ask your developer what is the final command to run your application. That's it. Because I have written some examples for you to have a reference, but actually you need not do all of this. All you need to do is what is the command that will start your application. Here we have only two categories of applications. First thing, inside the Docker, I am not running desktop applications. I am running always servers. So there are no double clicks. We are trying to speak about servers. And in servers, we have two options. One is languages where the application itself will start the server, or your application has to go inside the server. So if my application has to go inside the server, the story is simple. Base image is my server. I'll be copying my application. If that is not the case, I'll try to take the language and then I'll try to run the startup command. Am I clear on this? Yes. Now our examples will be based on some of these things. Are we clear on this, sir? Yes. Okay. Good then. Okay. Now let us try to look at some other instructions. The first instruction which I want to speak about is work dir. Okay. Again, I'll still give reference to this. Refer here for official docs for reference. Okay. Fine, sir. Now, if you try to see, there is something called as work dir. Okay. Work dir basically refers to in which directory do you want your startup to be happening. Okay. So for example, let me try to execute this simple command: docker vi docker file. Okay. And all I try to do is I try to tell work dir. Okay, let me not write the work dir first. Okay. Do I have any images? Yeah. So docker, yeah, and docker exec, and let me try to run inside this container the command which is called as what is your present working directory. Pwd tries tell what is the path which you are in. So what is the path? Slash. And for the people who know Linux, / stands for root directory of the Linux. So by default, the work directory will be root. Now let me go over here and let me make the change. Try and tell that. Now I want to tell that my work directory is /tmp another. Anything. Let me try to build the image. Docker image build -2 test :2 and now let me try to run the same command test :2. Okay. Now Docker exec. Okay. This container and pwd. So what is the present working directory? Okay. So this is, for example, if your application code is all present in, you want to copy into some folder, you copy into that folder and you call this as work directory. That is basic standard. Are we clear on this, sir? Yeah. Okay. Now I'm just writing these instructions because I don't want to get into this stuff. The next instruction is user. Okay. This is one of the biggest security risk, because in Docker, if you don't pass the user, the default user is a root user. If you don't pass the user, the default user is root user. Running your application as a root user is not a good idea. Running your application as a root user is definitely not a good idea. So what we should do, right? Let me do this stuff. So free CSS templates. Let us try to take the website and let me try to recreate the website. Open image. One box copy link address. So cd dot make their web cd web and then unzip oxer.zip, and if you try to see, I have oxer.html. Okay. So rm oxer.zip. First, let us do a little bit of research of Docker Nginx image. So Docker, first let me try to remove all the containers. Okay. Docker run -- name trail -d Nginx. Okay. Fine. I can give -p also. I'll not be accessing the website, but let me. Okay. Fine, sir. Now Docker exec. Let me execute interactively inside the container, which is called as trail. And when I say interactively, I want to get inside it. So let me try to see in this, are there any users which are present? Okay. So there is a user which is called as Nginx. Okay. Now, if you don't have a user, you can create the user also. We'll be doing that activity, but let me try to basically do the stuff. Okay. PSAUX. Under there. I don't want to install also. Let me leave it. Okay, fine. Now what I'll try to do is, I'll try to write the Docker file where I'll try to tell that from Nginx user Nginx. Okay, right. ఇంతకు మించి నేనేం రాయదలుచుకోలేదు. ఫస్ట్ Docker image build -t web:1 and dot. Okay, first let me try to run the docker command. So I'll try to tell that docker run, okay, -it nginx bin/bash. Okay, so you can directly see who is the user, but let me try to execute the command who am I. So what is the user with which it is executing inside the container? Now let me try to do the same thing with web:1. So who am I now? Nginx. Am I clear on this, sir? So you can go with the existing user, okay? Or, so do we understand this user instruction? Yeah. Or the other thing which I can do is vi docker file. Okay. So let me try to take from alpine :3.19. Okay. Let me go to perplexity and ask create a user without password, or with password also is fine in alpine. Okay. Sorry, saying run add user. Okay. I-D-H without a user and without a home directory. If you want to add a user, you can basically do this stuff also. Okay, fine then. So let me basically do this. I'll try to tell that run add user, and let me try to tell that the user name is LT. And now I'll try to tell that the user is LT. And in CMD, what I'll try to do is I'll try to write sleep for. I could have written 1M also, but that's fine. Now let me try to tell that this is web:2. Okay. Now docker run -d -name user1 web:2 docker exec user1, and I'm executing a command who am I. So what is the user with which it is executing? LT. Am I clear on this, sir? Yeah. So generally, ideally at the end of the day, you should never run your application as a root user. You should always run as a user. User can be part of your image, but if the user is not part of the image, you can also create the user as part of your Docker instructions. Am I clear on this? Yeah, right. So do we understand user now? Yeah, fine then. So ఇంకేమన్నా ప్రస్తుతానికి expose we have spoken, yeah, label, fine, user. This should be enough, okay, for us to basically do a decent work. Now what I'll be trying to do is let's build a image for Python fast API application. Okay, so there is a fast API application and you are supposed to build the image for that. Okay. Okay, so I don't want to even write the code. Let me try to say GitHub fast API full stack template length అవసరం లేదు మనకి. Fast API example Database ఏం వాడలేదు కదా ఇందులో. Okay, right sir, let us try to take this as an example. For us it doesn't matter. Okay, refer here for the. Okay, right. And now if you try to see in this, they might have basically written the Docker file also, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, right. But I'm not going to take that Docker file. I'm not going to consider that Docker file also. Okay, so what I'm worried about is, okay, let me do one thing. Dini, let me fork it into my account and let me remove all of that. So, right, create fork. I'll give this reference because let us try to build everything. Okay. Okay, now let me go to SRC. The only thing which I want to see is this shouldn't have any database. Okay, wonderful. Right, it doesn't has a database. Comment. Okay, sir. Okay, fine then. So don't worry, you need not know any coding. Okay, for some time assume that I am a developer for you. I'm trying to show you how this application works. Okay, right. So for running this application, what I need is, let me get into CD, C drive, temp. Okay, right. So let me run it locally and then I'll try to give you the instruction. Okay, now I'll give you the instructions, so don't worry about anything. I'm running it on a Windows machine. Later on, we will try to run it by creating one container manually, verify whether everything is working or not. Then we will start writing the Docker file. Okay, right. The first thing which we need to do is, I think to install this application, we need to install all the requirements. And requirements are present in src folder, requirements.txt. So this is all the things that are required to run your application. They should already be present. If they are not present, your application will not be started. Okay. Right, let us try to see what is it. Clone this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this is what I want. Yeah. So you can start the application by two ways. If you remember, I said that you can try to run either Python and or you can use by using a server. I would rather go with this approach. Okay. UVLib does not support Windows at the moment. Wonderful. Let us do it in Linux itself. Sattam ending. Antaku minchi option ledhu manaki. Let us try to do it in Linux itself if it doesn't work on Windows. Okay, sir. So cd dot dot. So cd fast API example. Okay. Now to run this application, what I need is I need Python. I need Python. So let me go to Docker Hub and I need Python 3.9. Let me search for an image which has Python inside it. Did we find Python, sir? And now I need to find a tag. So do we have tags over here? And what is the version which I said I want? 3.9. So let me try to take Python 3.9. I don't want a slim version. Yeah, Python 3.9. So what I'll do is Docker, okay, container run -d, okay, hyphen name fast API, and yeah, what was it? Python colon 3.9. Okay, and let me try to run this in an interactive mode. Y hyphen it /bin/bash. And when I'm running this application, I want to explicitly expose the port. So I want to expose 30,000 port to the 8,000 port. And 8,000 port ले देते रन होता ना तो 30,000 में दा expose चेस्टना जो भी container में 8,000 में चल रहा है उसको बाहर दुनिया को 30,000 में हो पे expose कर रहा हूँ. ఇది మన ఫస్ట్ టైం చేస్తున్నాం ఇలాగా అంత బాధగా ఆవేదనగా ఎందుకు చూస్తారు సార్ నాకేసి ఇది నాకు తెలిసి నేను మన క్లాస్లో మొదలెట్టాక 5వ సారో 6వ సారో ఇలాంటి కమాండ్లు వాడటం అవునా వద్దా ఇవన్నీ ఏదో జీవితంలో మొదటిసారి ఇవాళ్ళ ఏంటన్నట్టు కామర్స్ క్లాస్లో కూర్చుంటే ట్రిగ్నామెట్రీ చెప్పినట్టు పెడతారు కొంతమంది మొక్కలు రోజు వస్తా మళ్ళీ రానోళ్ళు పెట్టినా పర్లా Okay, sir, I'm inside. Now, what is that I need? I need code to be copied. So there are two ways of copying it. Either I can clone this code, and if you remember, there was command called as Docker container CP. Okay. So let me basically go over here. Docker PS. What is the name of the container which I've given over here? Fast API. So let me get into CD Fast API example. Docker container CP src folder into what? Okay, into Fast API. Where should I copy? Copy it into /app folder. Okay, right, sir. Let us try to see if there is anything called as /app now. Sorry, saying app. So cd app. Okay, now let me try to do ls. Do I have this now? So what is the command which I should be executing? pip3 install -r requirements.txt. తప్పు చేశాను క్షమించవచ్చు కదా ఓకే okay, so docker exec-it ఉందా చచ్చిపోయింది అది right? So if you try to say I have this, right? So pip3 install -r requirements dot txt. Let us see if this runs or not. Even though this looks like a painful process and all that stuff, you should know how to start your application. You're not learning how to start the application that your organization has built. Yeah. It is taking too much of a time. Okay, fine. While that is doing its job, let me do mine. So let me open. మనం సుమారుగా చేసిన యాక్టివిటీలన్నీ ఒక ఫైల్ కింద రాద్దాం. Okay, the code is present in here. So let me try to go over here and then let me try to write a file which is called as a Docker file, and in this Docker file, from Python colon 3.9, and then you can try to write label other equals to something like this. Okay, whatever you want to add, you can try to do it. And then what is it I have done? I have copied what? Copied src folder, copied current directory, because I am already in src lone unnanu kabatti. Copy current directory into something called as /app folder. And after that, I am trying to tell that my work dir is / any problem so far? Okay, so because all of my code is inside the app, I said that is my work dir. And then ideally, let us assume that this application runs on port 8000 anukundam. So let me write expose 8000. Now what is that I need to do? I need to run pip3 install -r requirements dot txt. And finally, how do I start my application? For that, they have already given that in the documentation. So copy this, paste all of this, but there is only one change. Our port is 8000, and I have to write this in exec mode. So try to put a quotes, comma, okay. Right, sir? ఇంత మించి ఏమైనా ఉందా? Yeah, this is what I'm trying to do manually. Okay, fine. For some reason, it is unable to connect to internet from here. But ideally, did you got this approach? Yes. So now for any application, the story remains same, right? Here I've taken Python application. Tomorrow, if I'm trying to take Node.js application or whatever it is, the story remains same. Okay, right? I'll try doing this. And there is also one more thing over here. There is something called as view front end. This is something which you'll be trying to do. But if you try to look into it, what does it try to tell? Okay, so in this, you have front end application. Okay, so for this front end application, we need to write a Docker file. So in the Docker file, what is that you need? You need Node.js ideally. So try to take some version of Node.js in the run npm install, and then we need to run npm serve. So shall we do this activity now? Yeah, I will try to do it with a little bit of pace. Okay, and you guys basically try it out. Otherwise, I'll explain each and every step in the next session. Is that okay? Yeah. So I'll let me try to tell what we are going to achieve in this, and then I'll try to do it quickly. So my easiest first thing is let me try to create my own server. Okay, how do we know which port to run? Is it user defined? It is developer defined, sir. Okay, it is developer defined. I think I've been trying to tell this story again and again, right? Whenever you are working for the project, Grahantar Vasul Rayer మీ code ni. వాళ్ళు మీలాంటి మనుషులే, right? So they are not aliens, they are developers. All you have to do is just ping them and ask them, how do you run the application on a local machine, right? What are the softwares that are required to run your machine? Then what is that we are trying to do? We are trying to containerize that. How? We will try to take by writing from instructions and doing everything that is necessary to run our application. Yes. Okay, which port your application uses is the design choice. It is not your choice, or it is not my choice. So whatever ports which they are trying to use, we'll try to expose that. Am I clear on this, sir? Yes. Okay, good. So let me go to virtual machines and quickly create one virtual machine. Create an not sure what this dev is. Okay, fine. So let me try to create a machine which is called as Docker, and image, let me take Ubuntu server. B1S definitely will not be enough. Let me take B2MS. Username is Dell, and let me try to select the key, go with next, and this is fine. Let me open all the ports. So add an inbound rule. Right, go to next. While you are creating the cloud, you will generally try to see the section called as user data, and in this get Docker shell, let me basically get into, okay, /bin /bash cd/emp. Okay, అవసరం ఇది కూడా /tmp /install docker.sh. Now sh/tmp/install docker.sh. So whatever you have written here will be created when our container is starting. So I mean virtual machine is starting. If it doesn't execute, we will try to do it. Okay, this machine is under creation. Let me try to tell you what is happening in this application. So according to the developer, whoever has written it, this application has two components to it. One is backend, the other one is front end. So what he has done is he has created a backend component in Python, okay, using a technology which is called as fast API. Okay, so then he has written a front end component, so which runs on Node.js or which runs on Java. Ideally, it can run on a browser, but as of now, it runs on Node. So this is a front end application. So this front end application they have written in Vue. Vue is exactly like React.js. React, Angular, and Vue. These are the three technologies which does the same job. And in this Python application, there is an API. This UI speaks with this and generates some UI. That is basically what they're trying to do over here. Okay, fine. So first let us try to run this. So for this, what is required? Python. And then you need obviously your code to be copied. But only code will not do the trick. You need to copy you need to install dependencies. Okay, then run the command. Let me go to the front end. So take Node.js, then install dependencies, then run the application. So this application also exposes a port. Find out what that port number is. Ante. Okay, so shall we do this quickly? Yeah, right. So now let me go to the Vue client. I'm not sure what is the చూద్దాం వాట్ రాసిన డిఫాల్ట్ పోర్ట్ ఏంటి అన్నది తెలియాలంటే వేర్ వాజ్ దట్ కోడ్ this one, right? I just want to find out the port number, sir. Nothing more than that. ఓహో డేటాబేస్ కూడా ఏడిచింది దీనికి సరిపోయింది. డేటాబేస్ అవుతే అప్లికేషన్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతాయి. ఓకే ఫైన్ then. I don't want to run the database at this moment. Why is it asking? Are you running anything with respect to Java? Okay, fine. Okay, sir. Leave it. Fine then. Let us see what has happened with respect to this application. Let me go to this. Okay. SSH. Okay. Because if it requires database, I have a better application than this. Okay, fine. But that's okay. Right. So, right. So I need to do one command sudo user mod -ag docker, and my current username is del. Exit and re-login. Okay, sir. Fine then. So, right. So this is what we have written, right? Where is our docker file? Yeah. This is what we have written. Okay. So for now, let me basically copy the same thing, and then let me tell that vi docker file. Okay. So docker image build -t fast API :1 and dot. Let us see what is happening. So first it is trying to get the image of Python, and then once that image is downloaded, then it will start executing the instructions. So what is the first thing which you have done? We have I think I can do this. So first is I have copied the source code into app folder. Then I have made it work directory. Then I have said that exposes this, and in the run there is only one thing. So how many layers will be added? We are adding 2 layers. One due to copy, the other one due to there also it should work, sir. కాకపోతే అది సత్రం కదా, భోజనం అయిపోతే ఏం చేయలేం. राइट, लंगर में खाना हो गया जैसा होगा. डॉकर हब में अगर काम नहीं कर रहा, प्लेग्राउंड में कुछ नहीं कर सकते. This is our own server and things work here. Yeah. Okay, sir. So now if you try to see docker image ls, do I have my application, sir? And what is the size of this image? We will compress it, don't worry about it. First let us make it work. Okay, right. Now docker run. I am running it for the first time, so I will never go with background mode. I want to see what is happening, whether my application is getting started, are there any errors for this kind of stuff. So I'll run it in the foreground mode, but let me try to give a name so that it will be easy for deleting it. Trail 1, and then I know that this application runs on 8000 port, and let me expose the port if I have to access it. And what is my image name? Fast API :1. Sorry, saying నేను చెప్పాను కదా ఎగ్జాక్ట్గా ఎందుకు ఫెయిల్ అయిందంటే డేటాబేస్ లేదు కాబట్టి. ఓకే, బట్ ఫైన్, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఇస్, we have run the application, we got this error. Okay. So ideally, I got this error because this application requires a database also. Tomorrow, I'll replace this with non-database related stuff. But the whole point is, am I able to run this application or not? Yeah. The only reason why it is trying to fail right now is there is no database. But let us assume that you are coming from non-development background. You don't know what this is. You will try to take this error, show it to the developer, saying that this is what I'm getting. Okay. But here, if you try to see, it is trying to send a request to 5432. So 5432 is a Postgres database connectivity. It is trying to send, which doesn't found. That's the reason application didn't started. Okay. This is fine. This I am not worried. Okay. Now let us try to quickly write for the other stuff also, which is what? View client, right? Idena? Yeah. So it might not work, but let us try to write our first version. So Docker file. Over here, I'll try to take that. I need Node.js. Okay. So let me go to Docker Hub. And then let me try to find out Node.js. If you remember, we have done written the React application already. Yeah. So not Node.js. Node is enough. Searching Node. So in this node, you'll have different versions. But let me try to take 80. So from node colon 80. So I'm already in the view client. So what I'll tell is copy whatever code that is present in the current directory. That means all of this. Okay. Into a folder again, which is called as /app. My work directory is going to be /app. In the run, if you try to look into the documentation of whatever code which you have seen, okay, according to the developer's instructions. So what is that we are supposed to do? We are supposed to execute npm install. So let me try to execute run npm install. Okay. Now to start the application is basically trying to tell that you need to run the command which is called as npm run. So okay, fine then. Now my cmd will be npm run. So this is not the complete stuff. This might not work because it requires a backend, but approximately this is what I've done. So now what I'll do? I'll try to go over here, get into cd dot dot, and what was it? View client, vi, docker file, okay, docker image build -t client colon 1 and dot. Okay. The problem with this image is we have not exposed which port the application is running, because at this moment even I don't know it. Till I run the application, I don't have that stuff. So tomorrow I'll be trying to give the code which I have developed, so that you will have an access and we will know all the ports, or we'll try to take some application where we know that it works. Okay, fine. Now, if you try to look into Docker image ls. So what are the sizes of our application? మనం రాసిన కోడ్కి అక్కడ ఉన్న సైజ్కి సంబంధం లేదు. Okay. Now the problem with this approach is, after you do Docker, one minute, Docker -- help. Did they give Scout as part of it? No. Okay, fine. Okay, leave it. I'll try to basically do this. But there is one more. If you try to do the security scan of this, then we will have a lot of issues in whatever work which we have done, because of two major reasons. One is our image has a lot of unnecessary things. Okay. మన ఇమేజ్ రన్ అవడానికి 1.12 GB అవసరం లేదు, right? We don't need this much of size. That means that there is a lot of fat, unnecessary fat. That is the first thing. And the second thing which we are trying to do is our applications are running as root users. Both of them are security risks. Okay, so we need to learn how to improvise on this. So what are the things which we'll be trying to do? Reduce the image size and run it according to the standards. So what are those standards, right? So few days ago now I have written this, if you remember, from Eclipse Temurin or whatever it is, okay, and then add Spring Pet Clinic into /spc.jar or something like that, and then I have said expose 8080 cmd java-jar and spc.jar. Now have a look at those things, and I've written one Docker file for React.js application. Okay, have a look at this. With whatever knowledge which you have gained today, those things should start looking simple. Okay, and whatever I have done today, we will be trying to take it to the next step, because what we have is we have images, okay, which are not working. First thing is we need to convert them into working, because application code requires dependencies. And the second thing is our images are too much fat. I don't want the images to be fat. I want them to be slim. So that is what we'll be working on in our next sessions. Are we clear on this, sir? Yes. So please ensure that you try whatever things which I'm trying. Okay. It is not necessary that at the end of the day everything should be working. It is better that you have failures. So today we have, what is the biggest problem? Our image sizes are looking very much fat. My code is of size 31 KB, and to run that I'm created an image which is of size 1 GB. That means that there is something wrong. Yeah, anta difference undadu. Yeah, right. Okay, sir. So right, I hope you guys are referring to the classroom video, right? Because if you want me to copy all of this in the notes, I can't cover too many things. Okay, right. Okay, sir, I'll be uploading the notes. You should see that in next couple of minutes.